Joe Hopkins here, and my title here, what do I mean by take chances, right? Because it says, be like Slipknot, take chances. Well, I like the band Slipknot. I was thinking of them. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of things that seem like they're kind of silly, or like it won't work, or like it's dumb, but sometimes you got to take chances. And I think of Slipknot because when they first came out, I just saw the t-shirts, right? The posters, I saw pictures of them. And I thought, man, that looks dumb. That's cheesy with the masks, and that's just kind of dumb. But then I heard their music. And I realized, no, it works. It works for what they're doing, and it doesn't help it doesn't hurt. I mean, that the songs are really pretty good, right? Very good. I really like their songs and their songwriting. But, it looked kind of dumb to me at first. And that sort of thing, sometimes that kind of stuff doesn't work. Sometimes you try something new like that, and it just falls flat. Doesn't work. And sometimes it works really well. And in retrospect, with a lot of different things that turned out to work really well or not, you can look at it and say, well, that was, well done. They did it well. It was well timed, or the music's good, and some of the things that failed, they're like, well, of course it failed. It was dumb and the music was bad. But the truth is there's a lot of things that are very dumb and the music really isn't that great that do well. And then there are plenty of things that are really good and it's really well done that doesn't work. And you don't know until you try it. Right? And there are other examples of these kinds of things where people try a change, try something different, try something new, and it works or doesn't work. For instance, Metallica, right? Very thrash metal in the 80s, and into the 90s, they get kind of a darker, almost heavier sound in some ways, like on Injustice for All and definitely on the Black Album. And by load, people were screaming, oh, they sold out. But it's sold out, man. It's sold out really well. But they were doing something new, doing something different. You can't keep doing the same thing forever. And it worked really well, right? I mean, it legitimately did. The Black Album is one of the biggest selling albums of all time. It's considered one of the greatest metal albums in history. So obviously for them, it worked. Or take a band like Motley Crue that tried to change singers and got they got Vince Neil back and put out Generation Swine, and it just went, ugh. And of course they got big again later with the whole nostalgia wave. But I liked their self-entitled album with John Corabi, and I liked Generation Swine. I thought those were good albums, but it fell flat. It did not work for the time, at the time. It just didn't work. And I thought it were good, but it wasn't what their fans wanted. It didn't work. Whereas like I said, with Metallica, a lot of their core fan base weren't really following them in that direction quite that much, but it worked. It brought in a broader appeal, sold to a broader audience, really solidified them in music, right? So take a chance, right? It might not work, but it might work. Sometimes things do work, sometimes they don't, and it really is hard to predict what will or won't work. Van Halen switched singers in 1986 from David Lee Roth to Sammy Hagar, and it worked incredibly well. Maybe it didn't seem like it should, but it did. But then when they switched singers again, and they got, what's his name from Extreme? The singer from Extreme. His name just slipped my brain, right? Just slipped. Gary Sharon. They got Gary Sharon as their singer, and it didn't work. I guess they thought it worked once, it could work again, but it just didn't. It didn't happen. And Van Halen 3 wasn't a bad album. I don't think it was their best work, but it wasn't a bad album. So why did one work and the other not? How come some bands, when they change singers, like with Motley Crue, it falls flat, even though they really did put out a pretty good album? Whereas other bands, like Van Halen, can change singers and it works great. How come one band can put on a bunch of masks and go out there and do a newer, well, it was at the time in 99, 2000, early 2000s, a new kind of music, like nu metal, and it works great. And another band tries the same thing, and it just doesn't really, it doesn't take. And sometimes, there were plenty of bands that tried the nu metal thing that it didn't work, and they were good bands, and it didn't work. And it's like that with every twist and turn of music out there, right? Every time something changes, every time there's something new, some people it works for, some people it doesn't, and it mystifies all of us how some of these bands are the ones that make it, because some of them are really quite bad. And some of the really good ones just, it doesn't take. So, why? Well, that's hard to tell, but you out there, you guys, a lot of you are musicians, and a lot of you are starting out, or a lot of you guys in bands. Try something different. Take some chances. Throw yourself out there. It might not work. You might end up looking like a jerk. But it might work. And you can't really predict what's going to work and what isn't. Now keep in mind, if you're not known, then it doesn't matter how many times it doesn't work. You're not big yet, right? You guys can afford to take a lot of chances. When I'm talking about like Van Halen and Motley Crue, why changing singers worked with one but not with the other, that's a big chance to take because you're a really well-known big band. It's not as much of a chance to take when nobody knows who you are yet. So a lot of you guys aren't very well known yet. So take some chances. Do some things that are different, but be warned. If you do something really off the wall and it works, it better be something you enjoy doing, because that might be what you do from now on. Because if it really works, that might be your thing now. It happens. It happens to people. You end up becoming famous for this one thing, and now that's your thing. So, and not everybody can break out of that mold. Not everybody can do other things and have it be accepted. But try different things. If you're just starting out, don't worry about looking stupid, and don't worry about whether or not it works. It's worth giving it a shot. Because what if it does work, right? And you got to take chances in life, right? You really do. And reasonably, bands like Motley Crue were heading out anyway. So, I mean, it's hard to say how well they would have done over the next 5 or 6 years, whether or not they'd change singers in the middle. But, I digress. That's an interesting debate. But try different things. And do the stuff you really enjoy. Especially the stuff you really dig. Because then if that blows up, if that works for you, and if that's the thing, now you get to do something you really enjoy. Instead of being stuck doing something you tried once just to see if it would work. But, it's all good. That's life. Sometimes you get to do what you love, and sometimes you do what you got to do. But try some different things. Leave some comments below. Subscribe to my channel. Tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Hey, I love you guys. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.